And hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining. I will be reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of April. I cannot believe we're already fucking saying it's April 2026. I remember the last time I blinked, we were celebrating New Year's Eve, and I was doing readings for the new deck that I had purchased. And now we are already in the sign of, we're in the month of April and reading these things through. And I'm going to blink again. It's going to be August. I'm going to blink again, and I'll be celebrating another birthday. So, my goodness, time does fly when you're having fun, I suppose. But then again, with all the stuff happening in this world, who would have ever suspected that, you know, things would be going at such a breakneck speed? Anyways, I'll muse about that a bit later. For now, we'll get straight down to business. This is going to be, for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising. If you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell, do all that good stuff. And yeah, that's going to be pretty much it. So, going into this, what we're going to look at here, we're going to look at a 3-card spread. We'll pull some clarifiers, things like that, to tell a little bit more about the story. And then after that, we'll go into the outcome, and then a few other cards and signifiers and all that good stuff. So what we have here for the recent past, you had the 3 of Pentacles, and then you also had, clarifying that, the 8 of Pentacles in the reverse. So we see a situation in which there was a practical relationship that you had with someone, but someone was not putting in all of the work or the effort. Or potentially, you may have lost a job, or you may have been out of work for a period and people were helping you to get back into the swing of things. So if this is professional or work-related reading here, you were definitely out of work for a period, and you had a group of people who were supporting you, helping you out to get where you needed to go. Tell me a little bit more about the recent past. Yeah. There's also a period where you had to really get out of your head, try to put a lot of extra work into the things that you were trying to do. So you had the 8 of Pentacles in the reverse and the 8 of Swords in the reverse. So the 8 is the number of the self, which is oftentimes talking about people who are working on their own personal specific goals or desires or needs. So it's about a very challenging situation in which you find yourself finally out of, and you realize that the effort that you put forward to that is going to be the thing that helps you to leave that negative situation. It's definitely could have been with money, finances, work, and so on. Tell me a little bit more about this recent past. Tell me a little bit more. Okay. So there was a disconnect. This could be about love. Yes, it is 2 of Cups, but it can also be related to work, being separated from something that you felt passionate about, something that you loved, or from a group of friends or people. I'm getting the overall impression that, either this was a period where you had to detach from a work situation, or where you finally found that the people that you were around, your group of friends, your circle, the 3 of Pentacles, as it's noted here, they stopped putting in the work. And now you're at the point where you're just like, you know what, screw this. I need to kind of focus on what I want to do for myself. I'm detaching from this relationship, from this inner circle, and I'm going to go find something else. Clarify one more time. Clarify once more. Yep, holding back. So, having to be strong, persevering through a difficult situation or a challenge, and that has finally led you to moving on to the next phase of your life, which was here. So you have the 9 of Pentacles here in the current energy, clarified. But yeah, sorry, I can't show all the nudes because cartoon boobs. It's not good for the YouTubes. Anyways, I keep forgetting I'm using the Rider-Waite, which does have nudity, which is very innocuous to most of us, except for the YouTube censors, who, despite being liberal, they have very strict, severe kind of ways of looking at nudity, which I find quite both patronizing and hypocritical. We'll just say it that way. Anyways, looking into the situation for the current stage of your life or whatever it is that you're doing. Nine of Pentacles in the reverse can talk about two things. It can either be that you may be overspending, or in a sense, you may be entering into a relationship. So if this is a relationship, linked, then you would actually see yourself dealing with someone, or you yourself are finally entering into a relationship. Because normally the Nine of Pentacles in the upright talks about a person who likes their independence. In the reverse, it's someone who is entering into a relationship or maybe seeking that. With the Judgment in the reverse, it may have felt like it was a very difficult, challenging situation for you to finally get into this relationship. Or maybe this is a person that wants this with you, but you're not giving them a second chance. I normally hate giving love readings, but I'm just going to read the cards as I see them, for the simple reason and the simple fact that these are the cards that have been laid out before us. That said, we're going to go clarify a little bit more, clarify the presence, clarify the present. Yeah. So we have the Empress. Clarify a little more. All right. So yeah, interesting. So again, when I spoke about a person that you didn't want to give a second chance to, is because you realize your worth. You realize exactly what it is that you are worth, and that you don't want to give that value to someone who's not going to appreciate it. So you have the Tower in the reverse, and then you have the Queen of Swords. The two of these together tell us a story about someone who wants to avoid a disaster and be able to finally discriminate with the people that they are actually interacting with. So I'm getting a little bit more of a deeper reading on this. And the more that I clarify, I see that there are certain things stepping into the center stage on this particular story for the Taurians. And what I see, as I said before in the recent past, something is telling me to go a bit deeper on the interpretation of these readings going for April onwards. Since this is springtime, we're already, pretty much entered into spring. And additionally, we're getting into a new phase of our lives. I think there was something about a full moon in Libra taking place, so this may have something to do with relationships in general. But let's go backwards for a second. So you have the Three of Pentacles. You are a very cooperative person with a lot of people, but these people don't necessarily put in the work that they need to give to the relationship that you are involved in, whether that's relationships, work related. And what this does is this puts you in a period where you need to detach. So this may be a reoccurring issue. You have to detach constantly from relationships and get out of your head to relieve yourself of the stress. Hold back and be strong. So that way, in the recent past, you may have found yourself getting into relationships, or you may have interacted with people who did not reciprocate with you. And so this has forced you into the cycle of detaching, letting go, clearing your mind of all the clutter, and finally moving into the new stage right now, where you may be wanting to seek a relationship, or someone's seeking that with you. But the problem, I can never cover these things the right way. The problem is that you don't want to give a second chance to a certain person because you're finally seeing your worth, your value, and the things that make up who you are in your most authentic self. And you are doing your best to avoid future disasters and current disasters with the people that you decide to either date or to court. So now the story is stepping into my head and I'm understanding what this is all about. Something's telling me to read deeper from this point on. I stopped doing the Celtic cross, the short Celtic cross, because something told me to just switch things up a bit. And now it's starting to make a bit more sense. That said, in the near future, what we have here, we have justice. We also have the Seven of Swords in the reverse. So when we look at this, we talk a little bit about a situation where in the future, you're going to be entering into relationships that are more balanced, reciprocal, because you will be able to spot people when they're acting like, this Seven of Swords in the reverse, being unscrupulous, being selfish or being underhanded in order to get things that they want out of you. And you'll be able to spot the minuscule things that they do that lead you to make judgment calls on them much earlier in advance, so that you're no longer you're no longer embroiled into a relationship that doesn't really work out, or that doesn't allow you to receive the love that you're trying to give to others. Tell me a little bit more about the near future. Tell me a little bit more about the near future. Yep. When you see that, you're going to be moving on. So you have the Seven of Swords in the reverse, and then you have the Six of Swords in the upright, which talks about moving forward after a difficult period, or at least knowing that you need to transition from one negative situation to a positive situation. And here's that extra sword that leads to the Seven of Swords. Now, tell me a little bit more. What I find in this reading is that you're looking at the situations that you find yourself in, and you're just exhausted from dealing with the same bullshit over and over and over and over again. If it feels like in your love life and in your relationships that you have been dealing with the same type of person, either the person doesn't want to be with you, or you find that they just friend zone you, or they put you in a certain category, or they may use you for sex or things like that, like all of the negative things that people do with the with the Seven of Swords in the reverse, you're going to be finding that out. You're going to be seeing, you will know how to react in those situations. Is the situation balanced, or do you need to cut it out? That's what the Justice is telling us in this particular story. Finally, one more card. And that flew out. Yeah. Okay. Six of Cups in the upright. That tells us that you want to look back at the past. You're looking more for a soulmate. You're looking for someone that resonates, because when we have the number six and we have the Six of Cups, we talk about balance and harmony. And that is precisely what those cups is about. The reciprocity of emotional energy. You give a Three of Cups, they give a Three of Cups. You have a joyous time together. They enjoy having that time with you. It's balanced, it's reciprocal, and it's mutual. So it's no longer this one-sided situation where you have people not wanting to give effort, not wanting to be able to work on these things, and you having to basically detach constantly and constantly lick your wounds all the time when you find that people are not putting forth their best effort in order to be in a relationship with you, or even to interact with you in your own energy altogether. With the outcome of this, what we see is the Three of Cups in the reverse, and the Death card. So it's the end of imbalanced, difficult, and hopefully not dangerous situations. Some relationships can be quite dangerous, depending on who you're dealing with, and that's not necessarily a good thing. But we have Three of Cups in the reverse and Death, the end of third-party relationships, the end of unscrupulous people who work behind your back. Even if that's in a work context, you're no longer dealing with people who stab you in the back at work. Even if it's in a romantic sense, you're no longer dealing with people that's like slinging pussy left and right here, or knob all over the other place if it's a guy. And you're finally putting an end to that cycle, because Death is number 13, and there are normally 12 holy numbers of things, 12 apostles, 12, I think it's well, let me see, 12 apostles, 12 notes in a scale, things like that, 12 months in a calendar year. The 13th would be the next year. So you're finally leveling up, you're putting away the old cycle, you're moving up to a new cycle. Tell us a little more. Yep. You're no longer giving to things that don't give back. That's exactly what we were talking about. So now that we have that Six of Pentacles in the reverse there, that's telling us precisely what you're doing. Because you realize that you could spend all that money on your own. You could do, you could do that job by yourself. You don't need to give your energy to people who aren't giving that energy back. And I know this is a recurring thing, but as we talked about, this is the time where things change. Things will be finally moving in your favor. And my brief explanation as to why things work this way is because that when you are giving your energy to something that takes, when you overgive, something will overtake. They will take all of your energy to balance you out. The minute that you stop giving your energy to those things that rob you of your compassion, your joy, your charity even, that is when you can finally get to the place where your energy will be redirected towards someone or something that reciprocates that energy to balance out the fact that you are finally consciously spending your time and energy and resources on something that matters. The universe will match that by giving you a person who sees your worth and that you yourself matter. So that's the way that works, and that's how you break the cycle. And when we talked about the cycle ending, this is the Wheel of Fortune, where something new begins to take shape. And that's a very good thing for you. So, excellent reading so far. We've just got a few more things that we can talk about here. Hermit in reverse is the signifier. Finally coming out of the period in which you were learning that lesson, going within, going through the dark night of the soul, and understanding the enlightenment that you have been seeking, with the star being in the lantern. That is when you have finally said to yourself, I have been guided through this process. It's been difficult, it's been dark, it's been very perilous. However, we have now come out of that period. We are now moving forward into that Wheel of Fortune, which comes after the Hermit. You have, for the Torino deck, I wanted to incorporate these guys in here because they don't get enough airtime. We have the Two of Spades, which I believe is the Two of Swords. You have two people in delegation. You have two people speaking about something, a diplomatic exchange. As you can see, these people represent their own colors, their own countries, or their own regions. And they're going in to talk about how exactly they're going to resolve something with the paper at the bottom here on the table, where they're probably going to write out a treatise of some sort. So this could be yourself with a group of people, or the inner dialogue within, where you have finally said to yourself, before we can move forward, we need to have this pause and debate two opposing sides. This is my card of dialectic thinking. We're going to finally go in. We're going to challenge the things that we have been doing all along that lead to the repeat cycle, which causes us our unhappiness and our suffering and our lack of joy. And once we can confront those things, we can then go in and we can start to say to ourselves, it's time for us to break the cycle by trying something new, by holding back, by understanding our worth and our value. And by doing that, we allow ourselves to pull out of that negative cycle and put ourselves into a better cycle. Now, finally, we have the last card, which is Gratitude is Dreaming, the manifesting power of gratitude, the law of praise. So in order to manifest those things that you want, you need to show gratitude for yourself, for the things that you have, for the work that you have put into yourself, for the lessons that you have learned in the past. And this in turn allows for that energy to flow towards those same things. When you show gratitude for the things that you love, for the things that you have accomplished and achieved, not in a narcissistic way, but in a way that shows that you value the universe and its role in helping to shape yourself and the life that you have lived to date. And what this allows for you to do, that gratitude is going to be the thing that accelerates and pushes you towards the goals, the dreams, the ambitions, and the desires that you do have. So instead of waking up every morning and saying, oh, this is shit, why is my life like this? Oh, woe is me. Being in that lack mentality, like the Five of Pentacles. What I like to do, and this is a kind of a mindset adjustment that I had to do for quite some time, is I had to say to myself that when I wake up, even when I feel kind of rough for that day, always give thanks. Like, I'm grateful for the job that I have. I'm grateful for the things that are coming into my life. I'm grateful for the motorbike ride that I've taken at the weekend. I'm thankful for the friends that I do have and that I do speak with. So even if things look rough in one section, there's always something that does fill my life with joy. And that in turn allows for me to stay the course when I need to do something or get something sorted out. So in saying that, I'm going to leave things there, but I appreciate your time and attention towards this reading. This is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining. And as always, be sure to like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell, and leave some comments below. That's going to be it. I hope you have a lovely April. And until next time, love and light. Bye now.